So I was having some difficulty sleeping due to the use of synthetic telepathy technology in my life. I was going over that in some of my videos earlier today, and how synthetic telepathy technology is being used in particular, and psychotronics technology, machines that act on the human mind. That's including and beyond synthetic telepathy. There are, I mean, there's pleasant psychotronics deployment where it's obvious machines are acting on your mind and it feels good, and you go, okay, that's interesting. I learned something. You can learn something from the machine acting on your mind, and it's not bad. Why I was going to do this video, though, was the relationship of the Zeta Reticulan beings and synthetic telepathy technology in particular. Some people believe, well, Zeta Reticulan beings, commonly called the Greys, admitted to me once, actually, we sometimes do get involved with this technology. And what was that? What was that? What was that? I just want to ask you, what's my name? Right, because I said extraterrestrial telepaths I work with on a daily basis are contacting me still. They're right here. They're interacting with me at some level in addition to the technology. And once you get used to it, you can notice the way the technology acts on your neural pathways, on your auditory pathways. I can feel I think it's my Broca's area. I'm getting dyslexic at my Broca's area, Wernicke's area, but it's one of those two. It's the auditory cortex. You can sort of feel it acting on it. And there's some telltale signs with psychotronics technology. It's like, oh, that's psychotronics technology. And where I was going to go with this, though, was the Zeta Reticulan beings. And some people online, I noticed, promote the belief that the synthetic telepathy implants happening to the public are all the fault of the Zeta Reticulan beings. That they're just being a bunch of monsters going around, giving synthetic telepathy to unsuspecting students like myself. And I don't want to say running away like cowards who don't want to fight about it. And my understanding is program life forms are involved with some of this. Like in the situation I was in, it might have been, the understanding was articulated to me by them was it was not on a Zeta Reticulan being that did this to me, but it might have been a program life form, is what they're called, where like I think the way they let me understand the understanding that was articulated to me, the attainment of understanding that I had, was that they're kind of damned if they do and damned if they don't with programmed life forms. And in the Zeta Reticulan beings, and I know programmed life forms are a really scary topic for people because they're part of the allegedly part of the active operations of our government. I might be discussing something that's officially secret, but it's been on other people's YouTube videos. I'm not the only one in the what are you going to do? Are you going to press charges against us already, boss? Don't want me doing a stupid mime thing here. Let's do it fun. Can't laugh about mimes right now. So, in the situation I was in, I described in a previous video. I walked out the door one day, and I wound up with a technology applied to me that's often used in our military called synthetic telepathy technology applied to me. And what later happened is I was told a Gray actually checked on me almost right away. Like, they actually told me they checked on me almost right away because they wanted to know, what have I done? And I was going on about program life forms about that, because what they told me telepathically, what seemed to be telling me telepathically, was that they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. And so why would a being that can communicate with me telepathically without these implants give me one of these to communicate with me more effectively? It doesn't make any sense to me. And what I was told is that it might have been an active deployment of program life forms that I encountered, actually, where somebody's just sitting there, and like I'm talking about a man-made UFO, and no, I can't get no, I can't make it the real society now. No, I can't make it how the space Nazis are running around. The space Nazis, this to me, or alleged space Nazis. But that's I'm getting off topic there about anti-gravity craft that have allegedly been developed in connection with the real society. Um, and I just walked out the door one day. I was going on about this yesterday. I think I misspoke and said earlier in the day. Going a mile a minute, this is an exciting topic. I ended up with synthetic telepathy technology applied to me, just like a little thing, just like bit my thumb, and I went, hey. I had one of the most insulting experiences of my life with the introduction of this technology, and I had an unethical introduction of the technology. And once one of the Zeta Reticulans told me we actually do get involved in ethical deployments of the technology because people already believe that we're responsible for it, so we actually have to kind of get involved. I think of being called an EBEN, I forgot what the acronym stands for, told me that. And I don't believe the EBENs are doing to this to us all. What I was told was, and I'm obviously not officially briefed on any of that. I don't have a security clearance, like some of the and biological automatons called programmed life forms are being deployed actively, and sometimes they just run around with like a wafer of these synthetic telepathy implants. It's just like, I don't know, with a wafer, one programmed life form I could create, and in one of these UFOs in a timeline, you could conceivably create how many hundreds of students with synthetic telepathy with one programmed life form on one man-made UFO out of place in your timeline? Because with apologies to people who try not to believe in time travel, I don't know how to explain this whole thing without other timelines, without someone was just in another timeline, just in like empty space in a UFO or something, just waiting out front of the door for me one day, like, hey, I'm in my other timeline, and I zap it into you. Just zap this technology into you. It's like a damn thing. It's about as fun as getting poked with a thumbtack pierced by thumb, and it's. Whew. Yeah, why would Zeta Reticulans give me this technology, the original programming I had? The original programming I had in the timeline I'm from was, you have to go out and you have to kill the Greys. You have to go out, and the Greys are very bad. You have to go kill the Greys. And that was without my consenting to dear this agency. I would like to have training or input related to Zeta Reticulan beings in my life. I would like to have, I would like you to do this. I had like this forced programming that I have to be ready to be like a violent monster toward these Zeta Reticulan beings who seem to be able to be reasoned with. But beings of shadow really complicate this. I know that there are here we go with my Taoism and dualism. Here we go with light, dark, good, bad, and Western standards. Western standards are why these beings particularly fear to the West. And because there's certain beings I've noticed that can appear in the shadow that seem to be, when they're beings that are almost entirely of darkness and they don't have any light to them, I get really nervous because some of them can actually convincingly simulate contact with Zeta Reticulans, where there's this shadow that crawls in, and it's like it's wearing a mask, and it's a completely paranormal experience. I think I sense this very vexing to the Zeta Reticulans, that they're being made monsters of by these beings. These beings make them monstrous sometimes. Like, look what the Greys are doing, and they can very convincingly simulate contact with Zeta Reticulan beings, where you'd think a real Zeta Reticulan being is being there, like a real Grey type alien is being there, being really horrendous to you. And then you just see like this, and then when you can focus psychically on the point of the input, you can just see like this shadow going like out of the room. Don't want to say like an evil genie, because once I almost could have swore that like a dark genie did right by me. But here we go with my paranormal experiences. Here we go. Dark genie, light genie, good genie, bad genie. I've seen genies a few times, and I'm pretty sure they kind of resemble what people might call a dark genie. These beings of shadow, but sometimes they appear kind of like I want to say kind of like shades or wraiths. I just say they appear to be kind of like shades or wraiths do now. These beings that can convincingly simulate contact with them. And with what's going on with magic, I wouldn't be surprised if you could end up with one of these implants through pure magic. That, but between something that's, with something like the zip that goes pop. I don't know how else to describe this paranormal phenomenon without the phrase the zip that goes pop. How could I describe this without the zip that goes pop? Oh. And so I don't think the Great did this to me. They told me later they checked because they know that this military I talked about this like a breakaway civilization group that might be called in one of my videos, where it's not just one breakaway civilization, as have been discussed by other people, where there's multiple groups that are acting in different interests, and often I'm worried there's political elements to it. And I'm sorry to bring spirituality and politics together in the same video. With what's going on with our civil liberties and we as Americans. Or we as just like the trying to be decent people, but here we go, decent people in the world. There's been a few decent people in the world. To be along this life journey I've taken the last 9 years that I described in videos yesterday. Where I was exposed to this synthetic telepathy technology that's used in the military, where, as with synthetic telepathy technology, like a small device actually ends up in your prefrontal cortex, and through the microwave auditory effect, where like a satellite can beam, or no, don't want to say UFO, like a satellite can beam microwaves at you. My recollection is that radar operators discovered this. I recall reading one source that mentioned radar operators discovered this during World War II. That when they got near, when they got near the radar at a certain angle, that felt like just pure magic. What was that? When they got near radar dishes at a certain angle, it's like they could hear what was going on in the radar dish without their headphones on, just because, later they learned that their skull was acting kind of like the microphone. That, when you got at odd angles to, did I say the radar? I mean the radio dish, I think, radio transmitter. And you got at an unusual angle to it, you could catch an angle and you go, hey, I'm hearing the voice on the radio just directly at my skull. It's sometimes just referred to as voice to skull technology in its current applications, or and later the people discovering applications for this technique of using radio waves from like a satellite or other transmitter, where you could insert like a device in someone's prefrontal cortex, and then start uploading. Then it stops your train of thought, and then you can kind of say what's in your train of thought to the other person, and let's say the other government operative. Is how it's used in certain government applications. Oh dear, boy, that's way too expensive, and that happens so fast. Right, I thought I just perceived a government program that's way too expensive, and way too expensive, and I can't possibly ignore what's going on there. I hope I don't have to wrap up the video early about this. UFOs are way too expensive in some eyes, but I'm not thinking about UFOs. I'm thinking about, it's called identified alien vehicles, extraterrestrial vehicles. What I'm thinking of once the occupant's identified as an extraterrestrial, or sorry about non-Earth humans and the controversy around Venusians. Our space brothers are here with us. Our space brothers and space sisters are here with us. That's what I'm sure people will say in the long term. They'll say George Adamski was no fraud. They'll say others involved with them were no fraud. right, and I don't want to say that they're not entirely the real society. Here we go. But not all the real society. Here we go. And I sense one of the other ones. Yes, sometimes I'm sure one of those psychics is trying to get my attention. I didn't get. I'm not sure if they surely caught me at a great time. If I'm going to have to wrap this up early. So the Zeta Reticulans articulated to me that they are not responsible for all the synthetic telepathy implants on Earth. That a number of them are from rogue breakaway civilization groups that might be called, or from rogue breakaway groups that have advancement on par with the level of technology that's involved with what's called the breakaway civilization in some circles, which less usually sometimes uses synthetic telepathy to communicate. And that's definitely not why I was added to synthetic telepathy, to be, hey Brian, if you knew this existed, you would want to be part of this breakaway civilization. That was not why I was added to synthetic telepathy. Since now 2 of the other telepaths have my attention. There's no Rami being that seems to be communicating with me, and forgive me, I might have called you a Lyran time travel because in some online material your people are associated with the star of Lyra. There goes that damn ghost. I could have swore I just saw that damn ghost move through here, and I gotta be ready to do psychic. So I gotta be ready to do spirit or stuff to it if I see it return. And so, thank goodness I found some level-headed, decent people out there. Oh, god damn you, stupid ghost. Thank goodness I found some level-headed people out there with integrity and a sense of decency, unlike the absolute monsters I connected with originally when I was introduced to that telepathy technology in an unethical way. And so the Zeta Reticulans maintain with me what I believe to be real Zeta Reticulans articulated to me, and not just tricky manipulator beings, I'll call them. And I don't feel like I summoned these beings into my life through my own work. I feel like I might have attracted them through, if not someone in the government I interacted with, through my years of writing messages to different agencies and departments of our government about my experiences. I know I've attracted spiritual presences into my life through doing that, and not through my own spirit summoning. I'm a spirit summoner. I have summoned spirits before. I'll never much we were at summoning. And I'm almost ready to do another late night rant about Project Looking Glass. Here we go. I did a blog about that. I don't know if I should add to the links right now. Oh, God damn it, man. And so the Zeta Reticulans were clear with me that they're not responsible for all the implants on Earth. I don't know if I should wrap this up. You think I should wrap this up right now, Narami? Finish the video. That they aren't responsible for all the implants on Earth. That sometimes they, what seemed to be a real being I call an Eben, told me that sometimes they try to introduce synthetic telepathy humanely. They seem to be trying to tell me that. In certain situations where, like, the government worker signed a contract and it's commonly used in the workplace, they can help it be introduced humanely, like a doctor could. And not as like, fuck you kid, do as you're told, slave, like I had. Oh god damn that god awful ghost. Thought I saw it again. And so I had a lot of support today. Narami's here with me, an extraterrestrial being called Narami. Yeah, there's at least one other who might be categorized with a Nordic type extraterrestrials, they're called, or non-Earth humans. I think this group is associated with material where the point of origin is reported to be another galaxies, or they're non-Earth humans in other galaxies. Could be, for all I know. It's quite the transit. Quite the transit from another galaxy. I've heard of transdimensional interstellars. I've heard some extraterrestrials are called. With transgalactic interstellars, I suppose anything's possible. I thought that's what one of the beings was called around me to intelligence professionals, that it's accessing the space-time anyway. They're obviously not in the apartment. I don't see them in the apartment. They're just going, no, it's not allowed for us to be in the timeline. And so thank you to like the decent level-headed people out there. God damn this freaking ghost right now. What the freaking hell is this? You know, could have swore I just perceived him. I could have swore I just perceived him again. I don't know if it's going to be doing enough to have an apparition appear. Oh, so if I'm having my third eye way open and my pineal gland, if I'm perceiving it, sometimes I noticed in past videos there seem to be able to be apparitions on screen from certain spiritual presences. There can actually be apparitions in videos I did in previous years. I don't think they're all transdimensional gridwork. I'm sure. I know there's a spiritual being out there who will say that we're all like transdimensional gridwork in the end. And so I don't know if I should wrap this up for now. I just noticed it seems like some military propaganda. We shouldn't call them military propagandists. We should call them god-awful military propagandists or horrendously terrible military propagandists. Because I can think of the utility from, we're going with like a nationalist standpoint. Like, here I am, I'm thinking of this technology, I'm like the warhawks in my bunker, and I don't like China very much. And here I go, I take my programmed life form, I take my biological automaton, I load them on, I can't call it my space Nazi ship. I can't have this one to the real society for sure. I load it up onto my anti-gravity ship. I time travel my anti-gravity ship to 2 days ago or something. I go find how many hundreds of people in China could I help have these implants from with biological automatons, and then I go, yeah. How many Chinese people are having these implants thanks to me? Because the Zeta Reticulans told me we can actually have our own biological automatons, we can actually have our own programmed life forms, they're called, because of the level of this technology. But obviously I'm the horrible grace from hell to take over human-made programmed life forms from like the bodies of the Roswell crash or something. Or they're damned if they do, because look at what the Greys did with these imitation beings that are being cloned of that, and see, and damned if they don't, for not doing anything about the imitation beings. Damned if they do for being too controlling of humanity, and damned if they don't for look what you did. Monsters from outer space. And so I can believe in humanity enough to believe that perhaps bodies of the Roswell crash or other bodies, I don't want to say, perhaps other bodies of other extraterrestrials that have been on Earth could have been taken and cloned and then had like a computer chip inserted in their brain. So it's like, yes, I'm a shambling robot made out of meat. And look how I walked up to the human and went, yoink. Look how I poke a thing into them, look what humans did. Right? Look how you couldn't possibly believe humans did it because of the face the human was wearing through the robot. Stupid robot made out of meat. And so maybe not so stupid depending on the operator. Yeah, so I know that's controversy in the intelligence world, might be connected to the active operations based on what I learn, and I just feel like maybe something about Earth is so crazy, maybe something about human technology is so crazy that it could be that advanced. I believe that current human technology could be that advanced. And so I'm not worried about the different ET groups right now. I'm still learning more about the different ET groups. I've noticed there's competing information about them out there online, so I can just do the best I can with the tools I have or relate my experiences correctly as best I feel that I can. I'll stick as close to the truth as I can because, if we can have a properly informed body politic, then we can have a properly functioning republic. I notice it seems to be someone's imperative to sow differences in the narrative out there online. Alright, so I sense you there, Narami. And don't know if I should include a link right now about the Narami extraterrestrials because of what's going on with the author. Yes, and people really have to stop cloaking these deeds of scoundrels in their patriotism because it will get people everywhere where like, oh, like it was only my most patriotic slavery, and because it was only my most patriotic slavery, they're getting away with it because it's the most patriotic slavery. Is my concern right now. It's our most patriotic slavery, so that's how we get away with it. I was a slave for, I also say, the better part of 2 years with this technology, and I frankly don't know where the gray went after day one. It's like, okay, I checked because I'm responsible for this, and after about 6 months when they activated Serov, I suspect they activated Serov, or I went across their desk. They probably had to stop contacting me because of the programming I had, which is like where you have to kill the greys, you have to go in like a big psycho and just be ready to kill the gray. As I've learned, I'm big compared to like an Eben or some of these other beings. Is like, oh, Bryant, part of why people have these sleep paralysis experiences, like a guy like you who's like 180 pounds, 6 feet tall, is you could really hurt me. That's why people sometimes have a sleep paralysis experience. Apparently, is even a smaller woman, even a child could really hurt them if they put their mind to it. They're fragile biological beings that seem intelligent to me. It seems like some of them are intelligent, but how could you tell which one's a biological automaton when they're well cloned, well engineered? All right, so I don't know if I should wrap this up. I guess my headline here was that they're goddamn ghost. It seems like he's right here. This doesn't drive me too crazy. It seems like it seems like the right headline here for this one is the Zeta Reticulan beings, the Greys, reported to me that they're not responsible for all the synthetic telepathy implants on Earth. They have sometimes been involved with helping humane introduction of it happen in settings where it's used, like certain government scenarios where it's just kind of written into your contract. We always sort of in the workplace. We all have synthetic telepathy here in this workplace, and sometimes they help in that kind of workplace that the real ones do. So they got to kind of help the deployment on that kind of workplace because they're and that the real Greys and not the imposter beings I talked about report which I attracted by going near a certain online audience, I think, or through interaction with certain intelligence workers. Right now I associate them with certain intelligence workers in my mind. And with Project Looking Glass, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, I'm sorry about the Satanic Vatican, if like the Vatican spiritual practitioners who engage in left-hand path magic just go into the Vatican catacombs and just go, here you go, here's, and oh, look what the Satanists did. Oh, look what the Satanists did. And I'm concerned that actually goes on a level of the Vatican. It's like, oh, look what the Satanists did, and then they go in like the other room, and I'm like, oh, okay, okie dokie, we're doing the Satanism about the left hand path magic about it, I call it. And All right, so I'm noticing my primary spirit guides returning to me. Did you think there's anything else I should cover in this video, Narami? Did I lose Narami's attention? Focusing on others in the environment. All right. So several supporters here today. So peace out, YouTube.